For most of human history, eating wasn't something you did. It was your entire life. If you were an early hominid living 3 million years ago, your day didn't involve hobbies, art, or conversation. It involved chewing. You spent up to 6 hours a day violently grinding raw, fibrous roots, tough stems, and bloody, rubbery meat between your massive teeth. In the harsh lottery of the African savanna, raw food simply didn't offer enough fuel to power anything else. You were just another primate, locked in a daily struggle to extract enough calories from the earth to survive the night. And then everything changed. Today, humans eat sushi, bake sourdough bread, roast coffee beans, and order triple-decker burgers delivered straight to their doors. We have restaurants, food critics, and television networks entirely dedicated to watching people sear steaks. But cooking was never a culinary invention. No early human tribe sat down and said, "We should heat this meat to enhance its flavor profile." Cooking was a desperate accident. And the strangest part is that by heating our food, we inadvertently rewired our own biology, shrinking our bodies and expanding our minds until we became something entirely new. To understand how this happened, you have to imagine the world around 2 million years ago. A new species had emerged, Homo erectus. They were taller and walked upright, but they faced a massive biological crisis. A large brain is an energy vampire. It makes up only about 2% of our body weight, but consumes over 20% of our daily calories. In nature, you cannot have a giant brain and a giant digestive tract at the same time. There simply aren't enough hours in the day to gather and chew that much raw food. A chimpanzee cannot grow a human-sized brain because its raw diet physically locks it out of the calorie market. Homo erectus should have hit that same biological wall. Then something happened that no species had ever done before. Humans learned to control fire. At first, fire was just a weapon to keep predators away or a source of warmth in the freezing dark. But at some point, a piece of raw meat or a starchy root fell into the coals. Maybe a brave, starving individual pulled it out, let it cool, and took a bite. What they discovered was a biological cheat code. Cooking is essentially external digestion. When you apply heat to food, it breaks down tough collagen fibers in meat and gelatinizes the rigid structures of starches. It does the hard work before the food ever touches your mouth. Suddenly, meat that took hours to chew became soft, yielding, and incredibly easy to swallow. It sounds like a simple cooking trick. In reality, it may have changed the course of human evolution. Because cooked food yields far more energy with drastically less effort, our ancestors no longer needed massive, heavy jaws or crushing molars. Over generations, human faces flattened and our teeth shrank. More importantly, we no longer needed a massive, energy-expensive digestive tract to ferment raw vegetation. Our guts shrank, freeing up a massive reservoir of metabolic energy, and evolution funneled every single one of those spare calories straight to the brain. Evidence from anthropology and archaeology suggests this energetic shift rewired our species. Harvard anthropologist Richard Wrangham demonstrated that humans physically cannot survive long-term on a strictly wild, raw diet. Our modern guts are simply too small and efficient. We are biologically dependent on cooked food. Furthermore, the archaeological record suggests that the increasingly controlled use of fire broadly overlaps with a period of significant brain expansion in human evolution. We didn't cook food because we got smarter. We got smarter because we cooked food. For hundreds of thousands of years, this alchemy unfolded silently around ancient campfires, and the benefits extended far beyond just calories. Raw meat carries deadly bacteria and parasites. Fire sterilized it, instantly dropping infant mortality rates. Raw plants often carry toxins. Heat neutralized them, unlocking entirely new food sources. Fire allowed us to preserve food, meaning a successful hunt could sustain a tribe for days. But the biggest change wasn't our teeth. It wasn't even our brains. It was our free time. Imagine 20 people sitting around a fire. The meat isn't ready yet. Nobody can leave. So they talk. They laugh. They tell stories. Instead of dispersing into the trees to chew in solitary silence like chimpanzees, early humans gathered around the hearth. They had to wait for the food to cook, sitting together in the glowing circle of safety. Some researchers argue that campfires may have encouraged more complex language and storytelling. In those idle hours beside the flames, they shared laughter and forged deep tribal bonds. The campfire became the world's first social network. This is why cooking is arguably the single most important technology in human history. It predates the wheel, it predates agriculture, it predates clothes, and it predates art. In a very literal sense, the kitchen made us human. But this profound shift also came with a modern cost. Evolution shaped us to crave the most calorie-dense foods possible because for millions of years, those calories were incredibly rare. Today, we live in a world where fire and industry have made ultra-processed, calorie-dense foods effortlessly available at every corner. The same survival drive that kept Homo erectus alive now fuels global crises of obesity and diabetes. Our brains are still wired for the Ice Age, even though our kitchens belong to the future. Yet, the ancient magic of the hearth remains deeply woven into our psychology. When we feel comfort watching a flickering candle, when we gather with family around a Thanksgiving turkey, or when we feel an instinctual pull to sit around a summer bonfire, we are echoing behaviors that are millions of years old. Inside every modern kitchen, behind the stainless steel and digital timers, is the shadow of an ancient hominid staring into the embers. Maybe that's why sharing a meal feels so fundamentally different from any other daily activity. We aren't just refueling an engine. We are participating in the exact ritual that rescued our ancestors from the trees, shrunk our jaws, grew our minds, and gave us the capacity to wonder at the stars. Tonight, when you watch steam rise from your dinner, remember this. You aren't just cooking food. You're repeating a ritual that helped transform an ordinary primate into a species capable of building cities, writing books, and wondering where it came from. All because millions of years ago, someone accidentally left a piece of food too close to the fire.